Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Youorns Sunday Focus on Watford versus West Bromwich Albion tomorrow night at Vicarage Road, Monday night. The Orns are back in action. They'll take on the West Bromwich Albion side, who have been really formidable lately. They have lost maybe 2 of the last 4, but overall, if you date back to the last time Watford played West Brom, which is all the way back on August the 8th, the second game of the championship season, West Bromwich Albion have really rose through the ranks of the table. They had been languishing for a number of months, but they have improved vastly since the month of November. And they now find themselves literally now just 2 points behind Watford for the playoff places. Watford actually are outside the playoffs now with 47 points, 2 points off the playoff spots, and they're 2 points behind Blackburn Rovers, who are directly above them in 7th place, West Bromwich Albion in 10th. Watford have to play a lot better in this game than they did back on August 8th against the West Bromwich Albion side, who dominated the game. And remember, that was the game in which Ismail Assar scored his wonder goal, the one that will go down obviously as the goal of the season for Watford. It obviously also was the same in particular game where Ismail Assar missed from 12 yards out from the penalty spot. It was that kind of game for him and for Watford, who were very fortunate back then to get a point on that Monday. Now, many Mondays later, tomorrow, they will take on this very same West Bromwich Albion side. This side that they have now, West Brom, are better than the side in terms of personnel that they had back on August the 8th. And it is interesting that these two teams play again on a Monday. It's also interesting that they'll have exactly the same referee that they had on the previous game on that Monday on August the 8th of 2022. And Watford will be hoping that they can finally get a victory, because they will need exactly that tomorrow if they are to start making a serious charge at the playoffs. Watford have had a very indifferent season in the way they play. Their performances have not been good, generally speaking. There have been 1 or 2 flashes of brilliance. We saw that against Burnley, but unfortunately, the fundamentals were not employed in the very last minutes of that game, and that cost them all 3 points, cost them 2 points in that game against Burnley. Watford cannot afford to have yet another draw on the cards. They've had 3 consecutive draws now in these last 3 games they've played in the championship, and they'll be looking to make it a win, which is desperately what they will need now, because they've played a game or 2 more than a lot of their opponents and the teams that are around them in that playoff chase, including Millwall, who've played 2 fewer games than Watford, and a team that Watford do not see again this season. Remember, Millwall beat Watford twice, did the double on them this season. And so Millwall, in fact, play the day after this game on Monday night when the Watford play against West Brom. So it's important that Watford get the 3 points to solidify a place in the playoff spots before Millwall and company play on Tuesday. Lots of games on Tuesday. So this one now is Watford's. And Watford have a distinct advantage here in this game tomorrow. And I'll tell you why. They already know what the teams have already done ahead of them from this weekend's play. And they already are coming off a game in which they played very well against Burnley, executed the defense very well. Watford amongst the top 7 teams in the championship defensively in terms of goals conceded. They are very good at trying to stop the bleeding, except for that one game against Swansea where they let in 4. That was late last year. But the bottom line is that the reason why I think Watford are well set up for this game tomorrow is 2 things. One, they're coming off the game against Burnley where they played very well, and they will want to build a platform off that game. And I think they'll come in very hungry tomorrow against this West Bromwich Albion side, and that's exactly what they're going to have to do. And then 2, Imran Luzovic starts the game tomorrow. He's scheduled to and expected to, and this will be his first start since he's been back for Watford. It's been a very long season for him, a tough season for Imran Luzovic, but he showed you flashes of brilliance during the game against Burnley the other night, and he'll be looking to continue that. I think Watford will use this now, this motivation to have these players back, to focus on the task at hand. And we know that Tom Cleverley will be gone now for possibly up to 8 weeks, 2 months, according to Slaven Bilic. That is a possibility that we could be without Tom Cleverley for that long. And that would be a very difficult thing for Watford. But Watford now have these final 14 games in which to really focus now. And I think this focus will give Watford the impetus to start getting these results together. Now, they have been unbeaten in their last three, all draws, but the time is now to turn draws into wins. And Slaven Bilic has said as much as well. Watford need 3 points tomorrow night desperately at home against West Bromwich Albion. And in fact, the key to Watford getting in the playoffs for me is going to be based on what they do at home. Their home form is going to have to be improved for them to get into the playoffs. I think Watford need maybe 7, perhaps at the very most 8 wins from these remaining 14 games. And it can be done given the quality of the opponent that they play. But then again, we know that Watford can play down to the level of the competition. But I think Watford need maybe at max 8 more wins, and they'll get some draws in there as well. But I think Watford will need 8 wins to secure a playoff spot. And with Sheffield United starting to show signs of crumbling, they've lost their last 2 games. There's obviously the possibility that automatic remains available to Watford, but it's probably still a big ask now for Watford. I think if they were to get automatic, they'd pretty much have to win 11 of these remaining 14 games at the very, very least to get in. And you can see that would be a very tall task. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that Watford could go on a run, but first things first, one game at a time. And that begins with tomorrow night at home against West Bromwich Albion. A win, a win. My kingdom for a win. This has been the YouOrns Sunday Focus.